the second update on our tomato planting exercise, and in the last 2 weeks a lot has happened. So today we're going to focus on some of the more important ones. The fact that there is now a noticeable difference between those in pots and those in the beds. We'll also try to give you an idea of the extent of growth we've had in the 2 weeks period. The fact that we're now looking at fruits and in addition to blossoms, and several other things. What we've done in order to keep them looking so nice and healthy and growing vigorously. So let's get going. Let's start with the plants in the pots. Now, there's no way anyone should complain about plants growing in pots. This is, if you recall, this is 4 weeks after we transplanted these into the pots. At the time that we transplanted them, they were 6 weeks old. So in total, we're looking at 6 weeks plus 4 weeks, 10 weeks. And they've been blossoming. The first set of fruits have formed nicely. You see there's a very good, and this level of growth happened in a 2 week period, because at the first update I would have shown you just the blossoms. So tomatoes don't hang around, whether they're in pots or in the beds. They grow back very quickly. So the 4 we have in pots, they're looking quite healthy and they're all at the same stage. The difference though, if you would notice, the leaves, there's a definite difference in the appearance of the leaves. The leaves of those in the pots are smaller and a bit more leathery. There's a slight purplish coloration also. And that I'm comparing with those in the beds where the leaves are larger and greener. And the purplish coloration is associated with a relatively low level of phosphorus. And if you recall, phosphorus is the nutrient we should put in at the start in order to support the growth of roots. So the plants in the beds clearly are feeding very nicely in the beds and are picking up the phosphorus in the soil. The limited root zone in the pots is giving these a little difficulty in picking up the phosphorus. But overall, they're healthy. The level of blossoming is similar to those in the beds, and there are no signs of spots, insect damage or anything like that. So we're happy. Just I think next time we will pay a bit more attention to probably supplementing the phosphorus in the pot. But if we for a moment just look at the branching structure, remember I showed it to you 2 weeks ago, and it is because of us training the plants into several what I call main branches, but prominent side branches that will bear most of the fruits. That is why we had to install the string support system, and that consists of first putting a twist tie, a cable tie, wherever we're starting the support. Actually, at the outset, if you remember, we started the support at the bottom. At this point, it's hard to see them. The plants are all bushed up. But every prominent seed fruit-bearing branch has a tie, a cable tie, as well as the support string. For example, you see this plant has 3 strings. So at this point in time, there are 3 main fruiting branches, and you see here that although the tie starts, this one started at the bottom, it is twirled all the way up as the branches grow in order to support the branch. And this area gets quite a bit of wind, so the twirling also allows the plants to move in the breeze and so strengthen the main stem. But despite us selecting and limiting how many main branches and side branches, after 4 weeks of very vigorous growth, you can see that the plants are now touching. This is fine because there's a lot of airflow at the bottom, there's air flowing through the top. So it's not crowded, it is just maximizing the amount of space in the bed. And the fact that we have the string supports, we're able to tease them apart a bit if we think there is likely to be a problem with overcrowding in the next week or 2. So they're doing well. They have maximized the space. And at this point in time, maybe I should also point out that in watering, we do not wet the leaves of the plants. That is crucial to maintain or to minimize the amount of humidity in and around the plant. So in watering, we very carefully just direct the water to the surface of the soil. Let me come around and show one area, one branch that got away from me. Here it is. This would have been a side shoot lower down, and this one got away, as I said. It's growing horizontally, so there is very little one can do to prevent the leaf from touching the surface of the soil. And as you recall, this is one of the quickest and easiest and most likely way that you'll have a fungus infecting the plants. So even though it started to bloom, and if you notice, it's really not as vigorous as the others. So the bearing on this side branch is not going to be as good as the main branches. So at this stage, it is best, in order to maintain the fungal control of fungal growth, we just take that off, sacrifice it, and put this on the compost bin. It is clean, there is no sign of any disease on it. Anytime you use a tool to cut a plant, it should be sanitized. We use hydrogen peroxide because it's safer, it's non-corrosive. Bleach also works. So this wraps up our second update on the tomato deplanting exercise. We're quite pleased with it. You've heard me say that many times. But we've done all of the proper agronomic practices in terms of ensuring that there is free flow of air, it's not crowded. We've watered it. It has never gone through water stress. In our light soil, that means watering every day. We have topped up the organic matter every other week, and we've monitored closely every other day to ensure that we remove all of the side shoots as they come up. Plus, of course, we continuously monitor their growth and provide the string support as needed. These tomato plants, after 4 weeks, they've started fruiting. These fruits should be ready for harvesting in about another month. And based on their growing cycle, they would have another 30 days before they're ready for the first harvest. There's nothing left to be done, really, agronomically speaking, but to continue monitoring them and watering them. So as far as I'm concerned, what we say in the trade, these have been put to bed. So the next update should be in about another month when we've started the harvesting. So I wish them well. They're looking pretty good. That's it for this update. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss subsequent updates. And please tell your friends about us.